I was pinned to the hospital bed by 2 security officers as I screamed. I hadn't slept properly for a week, keeping the sleep at bay with short naps during the day. I knew I seemed crazy, my perfect driving record falling apart with a major accident. The court had deemed me a danger to myself and others. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but here I was, pushing 2 grown men off of me to the best of my ability. "Rose! Rose!" The doctor in charge of me tried to calm me down or distract me so I could be properly pinned. "Rose, it's going to be okay. We're here to help you." No one believed me. My psychiatrist had tried insomnia, anxiety, and bipolar medication. They had done endless tests and sent me to endless therapists, but nothing helped. The final consensus was that I needed to sleep to alleviate symptoms. They didn't listen when I told them that I couldn't fall asleep at night because it would hurt me. 2 more doctors came over to help pin me down. The very mention of sleep had set me off. The doctor had explained they were going to sedate me, just slightly, so I would be able to sleep without being in danger. I would be able to sleep in the hospital and would be guarded by security, but guards wouldn't help. I felt the slight coldness of an alcohol pad on my arm and then warmth spreading across my body. My arms droop, and the familiar feeling of sleep took hold. The dreamless bliss of medication barely lasted an hour. Through bleary eyes, I could see the hospital room foggily drifting into existence around me, the dark corners grinning with malicious intent. It was about to begin. I could feel eyes on me, prying apart my thoughts. I was trapped with my limbs tingling. The first time it happened, I chalked up the experience to sleep paralysis. Scary, but a figment of the mind. The symptoms and science on Google matched with what was happening to me and gave me the comfort to fall asleep the next night. But then the whispers started. The bed started tilting backwards, a sure sign that it was here, ready to start. I could feel the blanket that covered my body sliding over my head as gravity pulled the soft fabric to the ground. I was exposed, legs together like a soldier, my head on one side, sticking to the bed like a dead butterfly pinned in a frame. Air puffed on the back of my neck, words seeping directly into my mind. "You've been avoiding me, Rose. Why?" It was acting childlike, whining as though it had genuinely missed me, but I could hear it grinning. It knew exactly why I had been avoiding falling asleep. There was only so long I could have avoided sleeping, but now I was trapped by the medication. I stayed silent, wanting desperately to shout profanities at the thing, but decided against it. It laughed. "You know, this would be a lot easier if you just said yes, Rose. It would hurt less." It said this last time, and the time before, and the 10 other times it had visited me, offering relief in exchange for permission to become its own being in the waking world. It was getting stronger. My head started turning with an invisible force. I felt shooting pain as something inside my neck snapped. The rotation turning me so I was face down on the bed, the rest of my body limp. I felt pain, cold without the blanket, trembling because of a sudden sense of impending danger. I reached out, tendrils of smoke caressing my frozen cheek affectionately. "Permit me, Rose. You are so young. You have so much to live for." I vowed I wouldn't say yes. Whatever it wanted felt evil, but it was getting harder and harder to keep up with that vow as I felt things slipping away. It was the reason for the accident, for the fights with my mom, for me cutting my cat with a knife. Go away! My conscious thoughts stuttered more than I intended as I spoke to it. "I can't do that, Rose," it said without remorse, I'm hungry, and it's almost done. Now, give me permission so I don't have to hurt you. I felt tears spring to my eyes. I always got scared when it threatened mealtime, but this time had me bawling. Please, I begged. Please don't do this. Give me permission, and I won't, it stated firmly. I remained silent, and I felt it embracing me, cold surrounding me. I would fight back. So what if I was sedated? This time would be different. I had to fight. This is going to be the last time. I promise. A hiss rang in my ears, scuttling around in my brain like tiny bugs clawing at my brain tissue as it crawled into me. The sound invading my thoughts. It spread slowly, and with it came a seizing feeling, my muscles hardening and cramping, my head pounding to the sound of my heart. It was getting faster, the sound of the monitor beside me ringing in the room accordingly. My back came off the bed, and I suddenly became aware that my mind was taking a back seat. It hurt as it started to eat. The sudden understanding that I wasn't going to heaven, that I was going to die, but be forced to sit and observe the darkness taking over. Tiny jaws latched onto my skull, and my eyes buckled in vision as something was severed. My right eye went dark, the room disappearing on that side. I couldn't scream. I couldn't wake up. I was gone. The monitor rang out in a long beep, but there was no body left for them to autopsy. There. Now that wasn't so bad, was it?
Okay, welcome back to Up Front. This episode is made possible by the MGD department here at Front Range Community College, Westminster. I'm your host, Isabel.
And I'm your co-host, Alex.
And today we have a very special episode in store for you guys. We're joined by our fellow student, FRCC student, Isabella Osborne. She is our Halloween writing contest winner that was held back in October. Isabella submitted a story called Butterfly Collector, which we have published on our website. It captivated our entire staff, hence she came out on top. And thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we're always happy to shine a light on the writing community here at Front Range. And your story was one of our favorites. Can you tell us about your story?
Yeah, so the story essentially follows a character named Rose, and she's in quite the predicament. These past few weeks, she's kind of had some weird stuff going on in her dreams and everything. There's been this entity that's been essentially chipping away at her soul, and which is some pretty intense stuff. And she's been having a lot of trouble in her personal life. She's been trying to go to psychiatrists, she's been trying to go out to these people, trying to get them to believe her, but everyone just kind of brushes it off and says that she's crazy, she must have anxiety, she must be bipolar, or something, and nobody really listens to her, and nobody believes her.
Yeah, and that's it. I've seen, all types of movies where, what would you classify your piece as? Would you maybe classify it as a psychological thriller? What would you?
I guess I was, at certain times, I guess it's like supernatural, but at the same time I was trying to go for almost a borderline medical horror, I guess, because there's the aspect of mental health, there's the aspects of the doctors being there and not believing her. So that's kind of somewhere in between supernatural, psychological thriller, and also medical horror, somewhere in there.
Yeah, super fitting theme for Halloween, and it honestly left us kind of wanting a little more with that last line in your story. I think it said, "What happens now?" or what were you thinking towards the end of the story? Like, is it something that you would continue?
Yeah, actually thought about maybe making this into a bit of a novella, or expanding upon this idea, writing songs about it maybe, or something along those lines. It's a really weird piece to think about because I really like it as a short story, but I can definitely see it as being something more. Absolutely.
So what would you consider your writing style to be? Is there something that you're particularly drawn to? I know that this was a Halloween themed writing contest, but is there a particular type? You told me about your songwriting and all of that. What's your writing style like?
I'm kind of all over the place in terms of writing. It's really interesting. I'm the lead singer of a rock band called Ipecac, and I joined the band back in February of 2020, and I've been writing songs with the band for these past 4 years. So I have that going on. Simultaneously, I'm also trying to write a novel, and it's kind of a dystopian type of thing going on there, a little bit of similar to this in the sense that it has some medical aspects, but very different in terms of kind of what I'm going for there. And then I'm also really drawn to horror. I've always been drawn to horror. I love horror writing so much. And I actually haven't had the chance to do a lot of it. This is the first contest that I've really submitted a piece to, and followed through with that and gotten gotten first place in it. So I'm really proud of this, and I'm really happy that this came about.
Were you surprised to see yourself win this, or did you think that the piece you wrote was, good enough on par to win?
When going into this contest, I had a feeling that I need to do this. I've talked about this in other stuff and other projects, but I have this feeling that comes around every once in a while, and you could call it fate, you could call it intuition, you could call it just like some hippy-dippy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's really this feeling that comes around, and it tells me things. It tells me like, hey, this is going to be successful, or hey, like you should do this. And so with this contest, I saw the poster on the wall at Front Range here, and I thought to myself, there's something about that. I gotta do that. I gotta submit a piece. And I wasn't trying to keep my hopes up too much. I didn't want to be, cocky about it and get disappointed. So I just was like, well, if it happens, it happens. Mm-hmm. So I was a little bit surprised. I was thrilled, obviously, but I was a little bit surprised. But then there was that feeling that was like, you're in the right place. You got the right thing going. So that was really comforting.
Yeah. And I mean, with a piece like this that was so good, did you have any inspiration? Was there something that kind of drew you towards writing it in this kind of style?
Yeah, I have read a lot of Stephen King. Love Stephen King, iconic. And I really, in writing this piece, I asked myself, what am I scared of? What am I fearful of? And what would other people be fearful of that I could write about? That's what I really looked into. And kind of what I settled on was this idea of losing control. And that's really what kind of started the piece, was finding, okay, what topic am I going to focus on? What fear am I going to focus on? And how can I write that? So I really looked into sleep paralysis as a medium for that, of a lack of control, because with sleep paralysis, you don't have control. There's stuff that's happening, there's hallucinations and whatever else, and you don't have control of whatever happens. You can't wake up, you can't move, so I used that as kind of an inspiration for the piece.
I mean, it sounds like a good structure to it too,
Yeah, I mean, with such short notice, seeing the poster and coming up with such a great story, you obviously have a talent for writing. And you've got a creative side to you. You talked about your band, correct me if I'm wrong, Ipecac.
You got it right. You got the pronunciation right, yeah.
So how did that come to be, and how does that tie into you as a writer?
Well, like I said, I joined the band in February of 2020. They were looking for a singer, and I auditioned and got the part. And there was that same feeling that I talked about before, that kind of intuition, that fate, and it was the strongest that it's ever been, is that moment right there before I auditioned. And it's been a really amazing experience. We've done so many shows, and it's really developed my songwriting as an artist. Before, I had written, a couple of songs here and there, just like on my little guitar when I was like 6 or something, right?
Yeah.
I'd written a couple of songs like that, but nothing big like that. So a lot of the songs that I write for Ipecac, similar to this, I try to lay out a story. I try to lay out a theme. I try to lay out, okay, what am I writing about? And it just kind of develops and blossoms from there. So that's kind of how this ties into that, is just in the sense that I try to create stories when I write songs. Additionally, some of my writing pieces that I'm working on, or some that I've previously done, are, I've based songs off of those. So
Nice.
they kind of are very much intertwined in that way.
Awesome. Are you involved in the writing community here at Front Range? Are you part of like a writing club or anything like that?
I'm a part of a writers collective that's based at BUMC, Brimfield United Methodist Church.
Awesome.
It's been really awesome. Lots of great people there, lots of amazing experiences, and I've just kind of been a part of that club for the most part. It's been weird because I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of things that I do, and so finding time to write has been really difficult. As a result, I've kind of started doing writing live streams on my social media to try to get myself consistently to write, just because there's times where I don't want to commit to a club or I can't. So the writing live streams have been a really great way that I've been able to write consistently and also connect with other writers online.
Tell us more about that. How does it work? You're very active on social media, right? Especially Instagram.
Yeah.
How do you go about sharing your artistic side with your audience, as far as your songwriting? That's a big outlet for you.
Yeah.
With Ipecac and the live streaming. Are you live streaming on Twitch? Are you live streaming on?
So as of right now, I'm currently trying to get it so that I can stream mainly on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube simultaneously. I do want to expand to Twitch, most certainly, but it's just kind of in development at the moment. There's not a lot of traction as much as I'd like. So I'm continuously trying to make those live streams better, adding music in the back to make it fun for people, and just kind of be a space where people can come around and they can write their own stuff while I'm live, or they could do homework while I'm live, kind of a, almost like a little community, a little room online.
So like a safe space community where
Yeah.
everyone can kind of work together. And
Yeah, absolutely. They can interact with chat, or they could just do their own writing stuff if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, those are a big thing nowadays, like a study with me or
Yeah,
hang
exactly.
with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm trying to go for. You got
Yeah.
it. You got it.
with Twitch, I feel like as long as you're consistent with it, you can grow a pretty big audience. I've seen some stuff like the lo-fi stuff, but writing for sure, people have busy schedules, especially you. You're part of a band. You've got a job, a side job too, and with school, you're in environmental sciences, right? Major.
Yeah, I'm planning on majoring in environmental science, hopefully with also eventually majoring in some other stuff, but environmental science and business are the two that I'm looking at to major in.
Awesome. What was the inspiration behind that? Was that just like
I like plants.
Well,
awesome.
yeah,
I like plants, but yeah, nature is pretty cool. I really like science, and women in STEM, like that's an awesome opportunity for a lot of people
Yes.
to kind of find their way in this world. I think that there's a really big community of female scientists and femme-identifying scientists that's really awesome. So,
do you have like a favorite plant?
a favorite plant, probably apple trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love trees. I love plants. I
Yeah,
love all
makes
those
sense.
sorts of things. So.
I like trees, especially during the winter time with all the snow on it, or
Oh, that's
either
great.
in the fall when the leaves get a really nice color.
For sure.
It's nice to see.
Yeah, I have an alternative account called Novel Guitar Child, where I've been posting a lot about plants and nature and kind of
Awesome.
those sorts of things, and also looking at local artists who, you know, kind of put out their songs, and I've put those onto a playlist for people to listen to and to just kind of find their new favorite song. I just started the playlist for 2024, so that's
Nice.
another thing that I'm doing.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it all sounds good because you just have a lot of eggs in different baskets, and
Yeah.
it's all like working and coming together. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, you're a great talent. You know, we're super excited that you submitted your story to us and that you were willing to share it with us. When we saw it, like I said, it was our favorite, and hence we reached out to you, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. Actually, April is Poetry Month. I'm not sure if you knew of that or not. We're hosting an April poetry contest. It might be an April writing contest. We're not sure yet, but April poetry contest. And we wanted to ask you if you had any tips for people that were looking to participate in April as a submitting contestant.
Yeah, I think that one thing that as writers you should definitely do is be true to yourself, find what inspires you, and you'll be able to just let the words flow out of you. I know that for me it's hard to find inspiration sometimes, so just finding what you like and your writing style and your voice is a really, really important part of just writing an amazing piece. And also I'd say with writing contests, I think it's really great to go outside your comfort zone as well. Connect with other writers, connect with other artists, and see what you can learn from them and see if you can go outside that comfort zone.
That's some really good advice.
Yeah.
Community always makes skills stronger. How would people reach out to you or connect with you or your band?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook at is.osborne. That's spelled IZZ.osborne. I'm also on YouTube at Isabella Osborne. And I don't currently have a website, but that's in development. So when that comes out, I will definitely let you know. And to check out the band, you can find the band at Ipecac Rocks on all social platforms. You can also find our website at ipecacrocks.com. We actually have a couple of shows coming up, which is pretty cool.
Is that happening here in Denver?
Yeah, that's happening here in Colorado, in Denver. We have a show with an amazing band called Maybe Fern that's going to be this upcoming weekend on March 9th. And we also have another show with the Femme Underground on March 22nd.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, and go ahead and check them out.
All right, so I mean, once again, like we said, this was a great story, and I enjoyed reading it. And I kind of wanted to share with you a few pieces that I liked. I know we kind of talked about the end, and the end, you know, it really did get me because that sentence where it's now that wasn't so bad, was it? You know, it's really something that kind of grabs you. But I think some of my favorite pieces was more in the beginning, and you know, the two more doctors came over to, you know, help pin me down. And then, you know, the sleep had sent me off. You know, the doctor explained that they were going to sedate me just slightly so I wouldn't be able to sleep without being in danger. You know, it's kind of that feeling I get where it's like,
Yeah, the suspense.
yeah, it's like kind
Yeah.
of building up. But the more of, you know, I would be able to sleep without being in danger. I really did like that part.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the rest was, you know, really great for me. Did you have a favorite?
I think for me, it was kind of like the disturbing imagery, you know, of them like manipulating and such as with manipulating, I think they were manipulating her body and evoking like a sense of horror, but also the fact that the people that she was reaching out to for help weren't helping.
Yeah.
That for sure. It reminds me of that one movie with the guy that has like all the different personalities split.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I got while I was reading it. It was like people don't really know what's really going on.
Yeah.
It's hard when you reach out for help, especially in a medical setting, and nobody believes you. And that's another thing that I really wanted to incorporate into this piece, because that's something that I'm passionate about, is raising awareness to that, of like, hey, sometimes people with chronic conditions, or in women's health this happens a lot also, where they have these conditions and nobody believes them. They don't do the right test. They just assume that it's this or it's that. So that's another aspect that I wanted to incorporate, and I'm really glad that you noticed that.
Yeah, because you're right. You know, a lot of people do go years with, you know, either mistreated diagnosis or just undiagnosed in general. And especially when it comes to mental health, it seems like people use that as an excuse for, you know, things nowadays, like, oh, you must be, you know, whatever, fill in the blank, and they dismiss you. So anyway, tying that into this horror story really just, you know, fits the theme for Halloween.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a you know, a piece that really had me on the edge of my chair. You know, I kind of like that when it comes to Halloween. You know, I'm a guy that, you know, I like to read, you know, the scary stories. And, you know, I do enjoy watching a good scary film from here and now, but I think with this piece itself, it really did.
As a kid, did you ever read those scary story the books? God, I wish I remembered what they were called.
The Goosebumps?
Yeah, the Goosebumps.
Yeah,
Goosebumps, yeah. I read tons of Goosebumps books. I loved reading, still do. And yeah, I read Goosebumps. I think Slappy the Dummy is probably what, like the Slappy series with that. They had like 1, 2, and 3, I think. Maybe there was a 4th one. I think those were my favorites.
I know the Goosebumps, they came out with one where it was like the haunted house, and I remember reading that book. And that one was kind of on the edge, crazy.
For me, I think it was the haunted stories. I'm not sure, but I remember this one story vividly, and it was like somebody finding a thumb, and it was like buried in the dirt, and somehow the thumb shows up on their dinner plate every night. And yeah, so definitely enjoy the whole Halloween theme. I think that's one of my favorite seasons of the year, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for
well, you said you're super into it, right? And
oh yeah, I love horror, and I love Halloween also. Halloween's like my Christmas a little bit. Obviously Christmas is also my Christmas, but Halloween's kind of like a second Christmas. It's definitely on the same level of excitement and thrill.
Yeah. It's cool. Did you guys dress up for Halloween?
Absolutely.
I wear a mask occasionally when I, you know, hand out the candy just to kind of fit the theme of it. But I used to love dressing up as a kid. I was either like an army guy, or I tried to be a ninja or some kind of superhero. So
yeah, what was your
costume this past year? My costume was based off of one of the covers of the band My Chemical Romance. So it was the 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge cover. So I dressed up as like the girl on that cover for the cover art. And yeah, that was super fun. Then I went and watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So that's how I spent my Halloween, was super nerdy, but I mean, it was rad. It was awesome. So
yeah, that sounds awesome. That was one of my favorite bands when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. I feel like band life is like the cool life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like that.
How long have you been in your band?
I've been in the band for 4 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys actually know each other, right?
Yeah, we went to, kind of. I mean, like, I saw you in the hallways, definitely, at Broomfield High School.
Yeah.
Were you in choir? I can't remember.
I was, yeah.
You were in choir.
I did choir. It was my first, so I did it for freshman and sophomore, and I was going to continue my junior, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit odd because before COVID, we were actually struggling to get students to sign up for choir, and our teacher, Bizarro at the time, he was really trying to push, he was like, the people that are in the class, I want you to try to stay, we had a nice group, so the people in our class, they definitely was gonna, carry it on, but COVID kind of hit, and then it really kind of crushed it all.
Yeah.
But it was really fun, doing choir when it was, not COVID era. So.
Yeah. I definitely owe a lot to the arts at Broomfield High School. Definitely the theater department was absolutely amazing. I had a great experience there. And even with choir, I mean, I did choir freshman year and then COVID hit. So I was kind of in the same boat as you where I was going to do it for all of high school, but after that freshman year, after COVID, like it just didn't work out because the next year when we were, for when we were picking classes for sophomore year, for me, I was like, well, we're still in COVID. We're not going to be able to do anything in choir. So I just didn't sign up for that, which was really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think, doing the online class for that was kind of funny because he didn't really make us sing online.
No.
We weren't standing up in our bedrooms and trying to sing, but it was more of just he had it where you come in and you kind of, talk about how your week's been going, and it was like a mental check. So that's why I thought he was a cool teacher in my heart. And some of the stories he used to share were pretty funny too.
Yeah,
so,
the current choir teacher has been doing a really great job. I cannot remember her name, but shout out to her at Broomfield High School. The choir department there, I have a lot of friends who are in choir or people that I know who are in choir nowadays. So definitely shout out to Broomfield High School.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially the theater department and choir department. They rock.
I still follow the choir on Instagram, so I'm always seeing the posts that they do, and you know, I see the students getting the recognition too, so it's really cool to see that happen. So
I also am following them in theater. So. It's really great.
Nice. I went to Westminster, so
like
also I did sports when I was in high school.
Sports are really important too, though.
Yeah, they really are. Like, they helped keep me on track, and it was cool.
I mean, all of this is just a good way to, build friendships throughout high school and kind of make lasting friendships. And,
I met a lot of my mentors in high school.
Exactly.
Especially like going into college and everything else has been really nice.
All right, so it's been a fun time having Isabella on the podcast. Thank you again for coming. And again, I want to thank the viewers for tuning in. This is such a special episode from the Halloween contest that we did. And again, make sure to always be on the lookout because we will be doing other contests as well, and we do have one coming up in April. So again, I also want to give a huge shout out to the MGD studio. I want to thank everyone for helping out behind the scenes and being able to allow us to host the podcast here in the studio. So make sure to check out our website linked below and also follow us on our social media. I'm the co-host Alex.
And I'm your host Isabel.
And
Thanks
that's
for tuning
it. Thank
in.
you.
See you next time.
Yep.